So if I want to find the derivative of 2f of x, this is your constant multiple rule. We just leave the 2 in the front, and the derivative of f of x would just be f prime of x. So we're going to use one of the rules that we know to take the derivative, and then we're going to go and plug in the value that we want. So this is really 2f prime of 2, which would be 2 times, and f prime of 2 is really 1/3, so I'm looking for 2/3. This is just the idea that when we're adding, we're just going to take the derivative of each piece separately. So this is really f prime of, I'll just do it in terms of x first. X plus g prime of x. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug in the 3. So f prime of 3 plus g prime of 3. And f prime is 2 pi. This is 5. So I'm going to leave my answer like this. Now this is your product rule. So we take the derivative of the first times the second plus the derivative of the second times the first. Let's go ahead and plug in my value for x. And then I'm going to pull all these numbers by looking up at the table above. This is 2 pi. This ends up being -4. This is 5. This is 3. So it looks like it's -8 pi plus 15. Now, there's a couple ways you can do the next one. You can do the quotient rule, but if you do the quotient rule, the derivative of the top ends up being 0. Or you could rewrite this like this, right? Think of it like this and use your power rule, okay? I'll just go ahead and do the quotient rule on this one. So the derivative of the top ends up being 0 times the bottom minus the derivative of the bottom times the top, all over denominator squared. So this is gone. So let's go ahead and plug in my numbers from the table. I'm going to just go ahead and grab the numbers right away. So g prime of 2, if I look at the table above, is going to be -3. I still have this 2. G of x ends up being g of 2 ends up being 2. So I have 2 squared here, and I'm going to clean this up, and I get to 3/2. Now the next one is where you have to be careful. This is not f times g. F times g is up here in letter C. This is f of g. This is your chain rule. This is your composite function. So g is the inside function, f is the outside function. So chain rule says that we take the derivative of the outside, inside stays the same, times the derivative of the inside. So there's my general rule. Let's go ahead and plug in the 2 for x first before I do anything else. Okay, so in order to evaluate this, I need to find g of 2 first. And if you look up at the table, g of 2 is 2. So I'm going to replace that with 2. Now, all I need to do is find these two values, and I'm going to multiply them to get to my answer. So this value is 1/3. This value is -3, so my answer is -1. Okay, the last one here is also a composite function, right? A square root is really to the 1/2 power. So the 1/2 or the square root is your outside function, and then the f of x is your inside function. So to take this derivative, we do the derivative of the outside first, which is at 1/2. So we're going to bring down the 1/2. Inside stays the same. Then we have to do chain rule. We do the derivative of the inside. Now, before I plug in numbers, I do want to clean this up a little bit. So I have f prime of x on the top. I have the 2, and really I have a square root of f of x on the bottom, because that's what that -1/2 does. And let's go ahead and plug in the 2 now for x. So let's say this is all 2. So f prime of 2 on the top is 1/3. I have a 2, and then I have the square root of 8. Now, you can leave your answer like this. You do not need to simplify anything unless it's like a multiple choice and you have to try to find the matching answer.